In the heart of the African savanna, beneath a sky painted in hues of orange and purple, as the sun dips below the horizon, Temba, a young man of 23, stands silently at the foot of an ancient tree. His fingers brush against the worn-out pages of an old journal, its edges frayed and yellowed with time. The journal, passed down through generations, contains cryptic stories about a mysterious family curse. As he reads the words, a chill runs down his spine. The bone collector's curse has been awakened, and it will seek you. Temba doesn't understand it yet, but deep within him he feels a tug. He has always dismissed the village elders' warnings about his family's past, thinking them nothing more than ancient superstitions. But now, as he holds the journal, his thoughts are clouded with doubt. What if there is some truth to it? A sound snaps him from his trance. A whispering voice calls his name, distant but unmistakable. It's as if the land itself is speaking to him, urging him to return home. His eyes scan the surrounding savanna, and in that moment, Temba knows that his journey has just begun. As Temba walks back towards the village, a mix of excitement and fear floods his mind. He knows he cannot ignore the whisper any longer. The elders' warnings resurface in his thoughts, warning him of the dangers awaiting those who tamper with the past. In the distance, his childhood friend Kofi comes into view. Kofi, younger by 2 years, had always been more practical than Temba, often dismissing the old stories as nothing more than superstition. Temba approaches him, clutching the journal tightly. "Kofi," he says, his voice filled with urgency, "I need your help." Kofi looks at him skeptically, but notices the seriousness in his eyes. "What is it now, Temba?" he asks, crossing his arms. Temba takes a deep breath and explains what he's found. The ancient curse, the whispers, and the strange pull he feels toward his family's land. Kofi hesitates, but his curiosity soon gets the better of him. "All right, Temba, I'm in. But if this is some wild tale, don't blame me," Kofi says with a grin. Temba and Kofi reach the village's entrance, where the elder Nana Osei stands waiting for them. Nana Osei, an elder in his mid-60s, is known for his wisdom and spiritual insight. Temba approaches with caution, feeling both a sense of reverence and dread. "Nana, I found something. The curse, it's real," Temba says, his voice barely above a whisper. Nana Osei, his face weathered with age and experience, studies him closely, his sharp eyes taking in every detail. "So, you have felt it too," Nana Osei says, his voice heavy with the weight of years. "The bone collector's curse has always been with us. It was only a matter of time before it found you." Temba's heart races. "What do I do? How do I stop it?" he asks desperately. Nana Osei sighs deeply, his ancient eyes softening. "It is not so simple, child. You must first understand what you are up against. Only then can you make the choice." The next morning, Temba and Kofi set out toward the ancient burial grounds deep in the jungle. It's said that this land holds the key to understanding the curse. The sun is high in the sky, casting harsh light over the dense forest. Temba feels both dread and excitement, knowing that this journey could reveal the answers he desperately seeks. "Do you really think this curse is real?" Kofi asks, glancing around nervously. "I don't know, but I have to find out," Temba replies. As they make their way through the thick undergrowth, Temba reflects on his ancestors, the family legacy he's trying to reclaim. Every step feels like a weight on his shoulders, but his resolve grows stronger. "We must face the past if we are to save the future," Temba says to himself, and Kofi nods silently, their bond of friendship strengthening with each step. Finally, they arrive at the ancient burial grounds, a sacred site hidden deep within the jungle. The air is thick with silence, and the atmosphere is charged with the weight of history. Temba's heart pounds as he looks around at the moss-covered stones and the remains of forgotten ancestors. "This place is powerful," Kofi mutters, his voice low and reverent. Temba nods, feeling a strange energy in the air. As they approach the central altar, Temba feels a sudden cold chill run down his spine. He knows this is where the curse began, but what he doesn't know is how to break it. "This is where it all started," Temba whispers, gazing at the altar. And this is where it will end. Temba, age 23, and Kofi, age 21, arrive at the edge of the village where the elder's hut stands. The air is thick with the weight of anticipation as they step inside, greeted by the smell of burning incense and ancient herbs. Nana Osei, now seated in front of a fire, raises an eyebrow as they enter. "You've come seeking answers, haven't you?" he asks, his voice as deep and gravelly as the earth. Temba nods, his hand gripping the journal tightly, the weight of its significance bearing down on him. "We need to know more, Nana. The curse, the bone collector, everything," Temba says, his voice steady but filled with urgency. Nana Osei studies them both for a moment, his eyes narrowing as if searching their souls. "There are things about your family's past that you cannot yet comprehend," he warns. "But it is time for you to face them." As the fire flickers in the dim light, Temba feels a strange unease settle in his chest. The journey ahead will not be easy, but it is necessary. The time for questions is over. Later that night, Temba and Kofi sit outside the hut, the cool air of the evening settling over them. Kofi, unable to hold back his thoughts, speaks first. "Temba, are you sure about this? We're talking about a curse. Something that's been in your family for generations." Temba looks out over the dark village, the glow of the fire reflecting in his eyes. "I don't know, Kofi, but I can't ignore the pull I feel. Something is guiding me, and I need to know the truth." Kofi remains silent for a moment, then sighs. "You've always been one to chase after the unknown, Temba, but this could change everything." Temba turns to his friend, his face softening. "I know, but I have no choice now. I have to stop whatever this curse is before it destroys us all." Kofi nods slowly, his expression a mix of concern and loyalty. "Then we do this together, for whatever it's worth." The following morning, Temba and Kofi make their way to the sacred river, where the elders say the spirits of their ancestors reside. The sun is high in the sky, casting harsh light over the scene. The river, normally calm, seems to pulse with a strange energy. As they approach the water's edge, Temba begins to feel the weight of the past pressing down on him. "This is where it all began, Kofi," Temba whispers. "The curse started here, with the bone collector." Kofi looks out at the river, the reflection of the sun dancing on its surface. "What is it you're expecting to find, Temba?" he asks. Temba hesitates before answering. "The answers, and maybe a way to stop it before it consumes us all." They kneel by the water, the cold river stones beneath their hands. Temba looks into the clear water, but all he sees is his own reflection, staring back at him. Is this all just a bad dream, or is the curse truly alive? As Temba and Kofi continue their journey, they come across a hidden cave deep in the jungle, its entrance guarded by ancient weathered stone carvings. The air is thick with humidity, and the dense foliage presses in from all sides. Temba leads the way, his heart racing in anticipation. "This is it, Kofi," he says, his voice barely above a whisper. "The cave where the bone collector's secret is hidden." "Oh." Kofi, ever the skeptic, hesitates at the entrance. "You really think we're going to find anything in there?" he asks. Temba turns to him, his eyes full of resolve. "If the stories are true, then we have no choice but to go in." They step inside, the air growing cooler as they descend into the depths. The cave walls are lined with strange symbols and markings that seem to pulse with energy. Temba can feel it in the air. The curse is close. Inside the cave, Temba and Kofi slowly make their way through the narrow passageways, their steps echoing in the stillness. Strange symbols on the walls flicker as their torches light the way. "I don't know, Temba," Kofi mutters, glancing nervously at the symbols. "This place feels wrong." Temba doesn't reply at first, his mind racing as he tries to piece together the mystery of the bone collector. "We're close," Temba says, his voice filled with quiet certainty. "I can feel it. The curse is tied to this place." The further they go, the heavier the air becomes. Finally, they reach a chamber, its walls lined with the remains of ancient warriors, At the center of the room lies a large stone pedestal, atop which rests an ancient blood-stained bone. Temba steps forward cautiously, feeling both awe and fear as he approaches. "This is it," Temba whispers. "The bone collector's relic." He reaches out, but as his fingers graze the bone, the cave begins to rumble. As Temba and Kofi trek deeper into the village, the weight of their mission becomes clearer. The once vibrant community now seems dulled by fear, the people no longer openly welcoming. The corporate men, led by a smooth-talking businessman, have begun eyeing the land for their project. Temba feels the tension in the air as they approach the village square. Elders whisper amongst themselves, their faces drawn with worry. "We can't keep going like this," Temba mutters to Kofi. "We have to stop them, or everything we know will be destroyed." Kofi, standing tall with his usual optimism, shakes his head. "The elders are too afraid. We can't count on them to help. You need to step up now, Temba. This is your fight." Temba looks towards the horizon, where the land stretches endlessly, his heart heavy with responsibility. "I didn't ask for this, Kofi, but I'll fight for this land, for my people." Kofi pats him on the back. "Then we'll fight together." Later, as the sun begins to set, Temba stands before the elders in the village meeting hall. The room, dimly lit by flickering lanterns, smells of burning sage and incense. The council of elders is silent, their eyes tired and wary. Nana Osei speaks first, his voice heavy with years of wisdom. "Temba, you are our hope, but you must understand the weight of the decision before you. The corporation will not stop. They have the resources to overwhelm us." Temba clenches his fists, frustration building within him. "We can't just give up, Nana. This land is our inheritance, our life. I refuse to let it be taken without a fight." Kofi, standing beside Temba, speaks out, his voice steady and strong. "We may be small, but together we can push them back. The people are ready to rise, but they need guidance, they need a leader." Temba turns to the elders. "I'll lead them, but I need your support. Without it, we'll fail." The elders exchange glances, their faces unreadable. Finally, Nana Osei nods slowly. "You have our blessing, but know this, if you fail, the consequences will be dire." The following day, Temba and Kofi rally, the villagers in the open square. Word has spread, and many have gathered, their faces a mix of uncertainty and hope. Temba stands at the front, the journal in his hand, addressing the crowd. "This is our land, our heritage. The corporation wants to take it from us, but we will not let that happen. We will fight together for what is rightfully ours." There is a murmuring from the crowd, some voices filled with doubt, others with conviction. A tall, elderly woman, Amina, steps forward, her face fierce and defiant. "What can we do? We have no resources, no weapons, no power against them." Temba steps forward, meeting her gaze. "We may have no money, but we have strength. We have each other, and we will not be silent." Kofi steps forward, adding, "The world may have changed, but we still have our traditions. We will protect them." The crowd begins to respond, a slow ripple of agreement. The fire within them is sparked, and Temba feels the first real flicker of hope. That night, as Temba and Kofi make plans for their next steps, a loud knock on the door interrupts their conversation. It's one of the village leaders, out of breath and urgently seeking their attention. "Temba, they're coming. The corporation's men are marching toward the village as we speak. They've sent an army of mercenaries." Temba's heart skips a beat, his thoughts racing. "We need to act now," he says, standing up abruptly. Kofi quickly grabs a spear from the corner, readying himself for what's to come. "What's the plan?" Kofi asks, his voice filled with tension. "No." Temba looks at him, his jaw set with determination. "We fight for our people. We fight for our land. We may not have their resources, but we have our will." They move quickly, gathering the villagers, preparing them for a battle they never thought they'd have to face. The night is filled with the sounds of hurried footsteps and anxious murmurs, the village preparing for an assault they must face together. As the first light of dawn breaks, Temba and Kofi led the villagers into the heart of the village square. The mercenaries of the corporation, dressed in dark uniforms, approach with an intimidating march. The ground beneath their boots is heavy with the weight of what's to come. Temba steps forward, his eyes burning with a fierce resolve. "This land belongs to us, and we will defend it with our lives," he declares. The mercenaries stop a few yards away. Their leader, a tall man with a cold, calculating expression, glares at Temba. "You're foolish if you think you can stop us," the mercenary leader sneers. Temba stands firm, his heart racing but his voice steady. "We don't need weapons to fight, we have our spirit." Kofi stands beside him, his eyes unwavering. The standoff begins, a battle for more than land. It's a fight for survival, for identity, for culture. The air crackles with tension, the battle lines drawn clearly in the dust of the village square. The sun begins to dip beneath the horizon, casting long shadows over the dense jungle as Temba and Kofi venture deeper into the forest. They have followed a map handed down by Nana Osei, which leads to an ancient temple hidden within the thick canopy. The air is thick with humidity, and the jungle sounds are amplified around them. As they near the temple entrance, Temba's heart begins to race. "This is it," he whispers. Kofi, walking beside him, remains silent, his face tight with anticipation. "I've heard stories about this place," Kofi says, his voice low. "It's said to be cursed, a place no one has ventured in years." Temba's grip tightens on the journal he carries, the weight of the responsibility now more tangible than ever. "We came here to uncover the truth, Kofi. The bone collector's curse won't stop until we find its origins." They reach the stone steps of the temple, its age evident in the cracked walls and overgrown vines. With a deep breath, Temba steps forward, determined to face whatever lies within. Inside the temple, the air is thick with the smell of earth and decay. The walls are adorned with ancient carvings that seem to come alive under the flickering torchlight. Temba holds the journal tightly, as if the weight of his family's curse is bearing down on him. The deeper they venture into the temple, the more the atmosphere feels heavy with the past. "This place feels wrong," Kofi mutters, his voice echoing off the stone. Temba doesn't answer immediately. Instead, his eyes move across the carvings on the wall, depicting scenes of ancestors, battles, and strange symbols he can't understand. "These markings," Temba whispers. "They're older than anything I've seen before." He moves closer to the wall, his hand reaching out to touch one of the carvings. Suddenly, a low rumbling shakes the temple, and dust falls from the ceiling. Kofi steps back, alarmed. "We need to leave now." But Temba, his curiosity piqued, doesn't move. "No, Kofi, this is where it all began. We need to find the truth." The rumbling intensifies, and the ground beneath them shakes as Temba and Kofi realize they have triggered something ancient. Suddenly, the temple's walls shift, revealing a hidden passage. The smell of stale air fills their nostrils as they step forward, the sound of their footsteps echoing in the silence. "It's like it's been waiting for us," Temba mutters, his heart pounding. Kofi, clearly unnerved, looks around. "We need to get out of here, Temba. Whatever's down there is not something we should be messing with." Temba pauses, his hand hovering over the stone entrance to the passageway. "We've come this far. We have to finish this." As the air grows colder, they step into the darkness of the passage, the flickering torchlight casting elongated shadows on the stone walls. The deeper they go, the more the weight of the past seems to press down on them. Temba can almost feel the presence of someone watching them as they descend further. At the end of the passage, Temba and Kofi find themselves in a large underground chamber. The room is cold, the air thick with age and neglect. In the center of the room, an altar made of stone stands, covered in moss and surrounded by eerie symbols. Temba steps forward, his heart racing. "This is it," he whispers. "This is where it all began." He reaches out to touch the altar, and as his fingers make contact, a surge of energy shoots through him, and a vision floods his mind. He sees his ancestors performing rituals, invoking the Bone Collector, an entity that has haunted their bloodline for centuries. Kofi, standing a few steps behind, watches in fear. "Temba, what's happening?" he calls out. But Temba cannot respond. He is overwhelmed by the vision, unable to move. The room seems to pulse with dark energy as the curse comes alive again. As the vision subsides, Temba falls to his knees, his body trembling from the overwhelming experience. The chamber is silent again, but the weight of the curse still lingers in the air. Kofi rushes to his side, helping him up. "Temba, are you all right?" Kofi asks, his voice filled with concern. Temba looks at him, his eyes wide, still reeling from the vision. "It's real, Kofi. The bone collector, the curse. It's all been a part of our bloodline for centuries." He stands, shaking off Kofi's support. "I don't know how, but we have to break this curse, or it will destroy us." Kofi nods slowly, understanding the gravity of the situation. "How do we stop it, Temba?" he asks. Temba's eyes harden with resolve. "We go back to the beginning, to the land where it all started. Only there can we end this once and for all." The first light of dawn breaks over the village as Temba, Kofi, and the villagers stand ready to defend their home. The mercenaries, led by the cold and ruthless Elias, approach the village, their armor clanking as they march. Temba feels the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. This is the moment he's been preparing for, the fight for his heritage, his people, and the land that has been in his family for generations. "We can do this," Kofi says, his voice steady, but his eyes filled with anticipation. "We fight for the land, for everything we believe in." Temba nods, his face set in a mask of determination. He can feel the presence of the curse lingering in the air, but now he understands its power. The bone collector's hold on his family must end, or it will destroy them all. "We fight today, Kofi," Temba says, his grip tightening on the staff in his hand. "For the past and for the future." As the two sides close in on each other, Temba steps forward, holding his ground. The mercenary leader, Elias, sneers, eyeing Temba with contempt. "You think you can stop progress with these primitives?" Elias says, his voice dripping with arrogance. Temba's heart races, but his voice is steady. "We are not your pawns. This land is our life, our history, and we will protect it with everything we have." Elias laughs, signaling his men to prepare. "Then let's see if your ancestors can save you today." The air between them crackles with tension, the villagers behind Temba ready to fight with whatever they have, while the mercenaries prepare for a ruthless assault. Temba's eyes burn with a fire, one that was ignited by the curse and fueled by the love for his people. This is not just a battle for land, it is a battle for their survival and their identity. The battle erupts suddenly, the sound of clashing metal filling the air. Temba and Kofi fight alongside the villagers, using their knowledge of the land and their strength in numbers to hold back the mercenaries. Temba swings his staff, knocking one mercenary to the ground, while Kofi expertly thrusts his spear into another's side. The villagers fight with desperation and determination, each blow a testament to their love for the land. But the mercenaries are trained, and their sheer numbers begin to overwhelm them. Temba grits his teeth, knowing that this fight cannot be won through strength alone. "Fall back," he yells to Kofi. "We need to regroup." They retreat to a small hill overlooking the village square, where Temba spots something that catches his eye. The bone collector's artifact, glowing faintly in the distance, surrounded by strange markings on the ground. It's time to face the curse head-on. Temba and Kofi reach the artifact, its glow pulsing softly in the gloom of the battle. As Temba touches it, a surge of energy courses through him. Visions of his ancestors flood his mind, showing him the true history of the bone collector, an ancient force that was once part of their lineage, now twisted into something dark and malevolent. The curse can only be broken if we confront its origin, Temba realizes. He turns to Kofi, his face pale but resolute. "We need to destroy the artifact. It's the key to ending this nightmare." Kofi nods, stepping back as Temba lifts a stone to smash the artifact. The moment the stone touches the artifact, a deafening roar shakes the ground, and the bone collector's presence surges through the air, threatening to engulf them all. "This is it," Temba whispers. "Either we destroy it now, or we lose everything." The moment Temba smashes the artifact, a shockwave of energy bursts from it, sending the mercenaries stumbling and the villagers falling to their knees. The bone collector's power recoils in fury, but Temba stands firm, his face filled with both pain and resolve. The energy grows, swirling around him like a storm, but he doesn't back down. "This ends now," Temba yells. With a final forceful strike, the artifact shatters, and the power of the curse begins to dissipate. The mercenaries freeze, the anger and corruption that once filled their eyes fading. The ground settles, and the sky above clears, the first rays of sunlight breaking through the storm clouds. Temba collapses to his knees, exhausted but victorious. Kofi rushes to his side, helping him up. "We did it," Kofi says, his voice filled with awe. Temba smiles faintly. "The curse is broken. Our people are free." The sun rises over the village, casting a warm glow on the land that has just been freed from the curse. Temba and Kofi stand together at the edge of the village, watching as the villagers begin to rebuild. The tension has finally subsided, but a quiet sadness remains in Temba's eyes. He turns to Kofi, his voice steady but reflective. "It's hard to believe it's over," Temba says, his gaze still fixed on the horizon. "For so long we fought just to survive. But now we have to live." Kofi looks at him, a small smile playing on his lips. "We've earned that right, haven't we?" Temba nods slowly. "Yes, but it's not going to be easy. The land is still scarred. The people, they've lost so much. We have to help them rebuild." Kofi places a hand on Temba's shoulder, his expression sincere. "We'll rebuild together, Temba. This land belongs to us, and we'll take care of it." As the morning sun shines on them, Temba feels a sense of peace settle over him, knowing that for the first time he is not just fighting for survival, but for the future. Temba walks through the village, his eyes scanning the faces of the people he fought to protect. They are rebuilding, yes, but there's an unspoken grief in the air. He stops to speak with an elderly woman, Amina, whose face is lined with age and sorrow. "We've lost so much," Amina says, her voice soft but strong. "But the land is still ours, and we will honor it. This is our home." Temba nods, understanding the weight of her words. "Yes, it is, and we will rebuild it together." Amina places a hand on Temba's arm, her eyes searching his face. "Your ancestors would be proud of you, Temba. You've done more than break the curse. You've freed us all." Temba's chest tightens as he meets her gaze, a lump forming in his throat. "I didn't do it alone, Amina. We all fought together." She smiles, a tear slipping down her cheek. "You led us, Temba, and that is what matters." That night, as the stars shine brightly above the village, Temba sits alone by his father's grave. The winds are calm, and the night air is cool, bringing a sense of peace that Temba hasn't felt in years. He gazes at the stars, reflecting on the journey he has taken, the curse that has been broken, and the price of victory. "I wish you could see this, Father," Temba whispers, his voice filled with both sorrow and gratitude. "I finally understand what you were trying to protect." He closes his eyes for a moment, feeling a deep connection to his ancestors. "I'll make sure this land remains ours for future generations." As the wind picks up slightly, the stars seem to shine brighter, as if acknowledging Temba's promise. The following morning, Temba and Kofi stand together near the village's border, watching as the first crops are planted in the soil that was once tainted by the curse. "It's starting," Kofi says, his voice filled with hope. "We're really rebuilding." Temba nods, his face filled with determination. "It won't be easy, but we have the strength of our people and we have our land. That's all we need." Kofi smiles, placing a hand on Temba's shoulder. "And we have each other." The two stand in silence for a moment, watching as the villagers work in harmony, planting seeds in the fertile soil. For the first time in a long while, Temba feels a sense of peace. The future is uncertain, but the curse is broken and the village is free. Later that evening, as the sun sets behind the mountains, Temba walks through the village one last time. He sees the smiles of the people, their faces no longer filled with fear, but with the hope of a new beginning. Temba stops near the Baobab tree, the same tree where his journey began. He places his hand on its rough bark, feeling the strength of the land beneath his fingertips. "We made it," Temba whispers to himself. "We've won." Kofi approaches, a broad smile on his face. "We did it, Temba. We've got our land back, and our people are free." Temba smiles, the weight of the journey finally lifting off his shoulders. The curse is broken, but now we have to build something new, together. The two stand beneath the Baobab tree, watching as the last rays of sunlight disappear behind the horizon, knowing that the future is theirs to shape. The day after the last battle, Temba and Kofi walk together through the now peaceful village, the air fresh with the scent of new life. The villagers are working together, and the sound of laughter fills the air. Temba turns to Kofi, a small smile on his face. "It feels like we're waking up from a long dream," he says softly. Kofi nods, his face reflecting both exhaustion and satisfaction. "We've earned this peace, but the question now is, what do we do with it?" Temba's gaze drifts to the horizon, where the sun sets behind the mountains. "We rebuild, Kofi, but not just our homes. We rebuild ourselves." There's a pause as Kofi considers his words, his eyes growing distant. "You've come a long way, Temba. I can see the man you've become. You're not just the leader of the village now. You're the leader of our future." Temba nods, the weight of responsibility still heavy on his shoulders, but now there's a new sense of resolve. "We're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting for the future." Later that evening, Temba stands alone at the edge of the village, gazing out over the land that has been both a source of pain and strength for his people. The sun has just set, and the last traces of daylight fade from the sky. His thoughts are interrupted by the arrival of Nana Osei, who stands beside him in silence for a moment. "You've done well, Temba," Nana Osei says, his voice filled with pride. "Your ancestors would be proud." Temba turns to the elder, his heart heavy with the responsibility that still lingers. "But it's not over yet, Nana. We've broken the curse, but we still have to rebuild, to heal." Nana Osei smiles, a knowing look in his eyes. "You've already begun that, my son. The land will heal in time, and so will you." Temba feels a sense of peace settle over him, knowing that the true work of leadership, the work of building a legacy, is just beginning. "Thank you, Nana," Temba says, his voice sincere, "for everything." The following day, Temba meets with the village leaders to discuss the future. The mood is serious, but there's a sense of optimism in the air. "We've secured our land," Temba begins, his voice strong, "but we need to think about what comes next. We need to create a future where our people can thrive." The leaders listen intently as Temba outlines plans for sustainable farming, community education, and strengthening their ties with neighboring villages. The weight of leadership still hangs over him, but Temba feels more confident now. "We have the strength of our people," Temba continues, "and with unity, there is nothing we cannot overcome." Kofi, who has been quietly observing, steps forward. "And we have each other. The strength of our community is what will carry us forward." The leaders nod in agreement, a shared sense of purpose growing among them. The work ahead is daunting, but for the first time, Temba feels ready to face it. That night, Temba sits alone by the village fire, the flames crackling softly in the quiet night. He watches the fire deep in thought as the stars twinkle above. Kofi approaches, sitting beside him. "You've been at this a long time, haven't you?" Kofi asks, his voice gentle. Temba smiles faintly, his eyes still on the flames. "It feels like a lifetime," he says, his voice soft. "I've learned more than I ever expected. About my ancestors, about the land, about myself." Kofi watches the fire for a moment before responding. "You've changed, Temba. You're not the same man who left the village all those months ago." Temba looks at his friend, his expression thoughtful. "I'm not. And I'm grateful for it." They sit in silence for a moment, the fire flickering between them. "The road ahead won't be easy," Temba finally says, "but we'll face it together." Kofi nods, a smile tugging at his lips. Together. As the sun rises on a new day, Temba and Kofi stand together at the village's edge, looking out over the land. The horizon is bathed in the soft pinks and purples of dawn, signaling a new beginning. "It's a new day," Kofi says, his voice filled with hope. "The land is ours, and we have a future." Temba nods, a sense of peace finally settling over him. "We fought for this, and now it's time to build." He turns to Kofi, his eyes filled with determination. "We'll lead our people into a new era, together." As the sun breaks over the horizon, Temba and Kofi walk forward, the village and the land before them, filled with endless possibilities. The future is uncertain, but for the first time, they face it with hope and strength.